The Treasoning, A Twist on the Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Imal and Karen, Durham Community School, all permissions granted, 2024. Hallows Eve, while the moon is high, one by one the women all arrive. Here they all stand, women and girls alike. They circle a fountain as old as time. They all chatter with excitement that will hopefully not burn them alive. I'm here, Tessie, an older woman, perhaps in her mid-30s, says after barreling down the street, her hands on her knees as she catches her breath. Cutting it close, Tessie. We are about to start, Miss Delacour says, looking at Tessie from under her dark hood. I know, Tessie replies before she releases a deep sigh and stands up fully, her dark gray cloak encasing the rest of her body. Under the moonlight, the women could barely see one another, their dark sea of cloaks becoming nothing more than a blur of darkness. Two sharp claps ring through the air, and the mindless chattering amongst the women silences almost instantaneously. Ladies, welcome to the annual ceremony of Hallows Eve, a glorious night for us all, as one of us is given the opportunity to sacrifice one of the many men who roam our goddess's land, to bring forth good fortune to us as we take this night to worship our otherworldly deities. Miss Shirley Jackson, the leader of the community, shouts. She stands at the edge of the stone fountain, a centerpiece of the town that to the men represent the town's history, but to the woman, it's much, much more than that. Miss Jackson turns around and turns one of the hands on the stone fountain, children upside down. Suddenly, the water pouring stops. The water within the fountain drains, and the center slowly, creakingly turns. As the stone center turns, the bottom of the fountain turns with it, revealing a deep stone staircase that seems to go on forever into a dark abyss. One by one, women and young girls of all ages and sizes line up at the beginning of the staircase. First going in Shirley Jackson, then the Smith woman, then the Robinsons, the Browns, the McKillans. All one by one, the women and young girls of the town slowly walk down the stairs in unison. As the last girl of the last family stepped off the final steps to join the crowd encircling the center of the meeting place. The meeting place was a deep underground and vast circular room with its walls covered in bookcases, filled with ancient texts of their great ones before them and their deities alike. If you squint hard enough, you could see the piles of stones hidden in the shadows, pressed up against these very bookshelves. In the center of the room, there were small stones building up into steps. On the top of these three circles, there stands a podium, inhabited currently by Miss Jackson. Other than her, no one is permitted to stand on the inner circles except the sacrifice. From the main floor, where the rest of the women stand, you can slightly see the ancient book poking out at the edge of the podium. Ladies, here we stand, ready to sacrifice our people, our loved ones' lives to the heavens. Here on this Hallows Eve, we shall continue our annual tradition that our old ones have passed down to us to worship our almighty goddesses. And on this sacred night, Miss Jackson shouts into the meeting place, her bellows reflecting off the walls and echoing into the darkness of the room. The ladies closest to the center start a deep hum, so deep you can almost feel the vibrations in the back of your very own throat. The deep humming seemed to travel to the outer rows of the women, all making the deep vibrating noise in unison. Suddenly, Shirley Jackson begins to chant. None of the other women outside of the actually have a clue as to what she's saying, but she's always said it, and no one dares to question otherwise. Suddenly, almost as if a big gust of wind had flown through the library, the pages of the book open. The pages of the open book began to flip vigorously, although none of the women can feel any breeze. Finally, the song comes to an abrupt halt, along with the pages of the book. Suddenly, a golden glow reflects off Shirley Jackson's face. The ones in front could just barely see the smile that creeped upon the woman's face through her hood. "Bill Hutchinson!" she suddenly exclaims, with a roar of applause and congratulations fills the room. But Tessie could not feel any of their excitement in herself. In fact, all she could feel was growing red and despair. It almost felt like time slowed to where the nanoseconds were by the hour. She felt it in slow motion as her palms began to sweat. Her breath began to quicken, and her heart began to drop. Suddenly, a shrill cry ran through the dingy atmosphere, a cry that halted the cheers of all the others into a brief, stiff silence. It's wrong, it must be. It can't be my Billy, it can't, Tessie screamed at Mrs. Jackson as all heads snapped to face her. The book only states the truth. You should be grateful to be given this opportunity, Miss Jackson says calmly, her body slowly turning to face Tessie. Her breath begins to become more ragged, and only then does she's crying as the tears roll down. Only then does she realize that she's crying as the tears roll off her face and onto the floor. No, 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 there must have been something wrong with the chant then. Maybe a misspoken word or an off key. You are quite old after all, so it's not like we can count on you to run the chant properly. A few gasps and whispers erupt from the audience, but Miss Jackson hushes them all with a single hand motion. Are you questioning the word of our great goddesses? Because if so, I don't think your place here is quite right, she says. Although her manner seems as calm and composed, the deep frown set in her face tells otherwise. Ladies, go claim the gift to the gods, Miss Shirley Jackson says. Tessie watches as a sea of women begin to hurtle toward the steps. She can feel her word twisting and turning upside down. Within a moment of panic, she shouts desperate, "No!" temporarily stunning everyone as she bolts up the stairs. Tessie is only about halfway up when she hears the rest of the girls clamoring up behind her, shouting at her to stop, but all Tessie does is push forward and run faster. After winding down street after street, she skitters to a stop, swings her front door open. She slams it behind her. She loudly sprints up the wooden stairs. She throws herself through the upstairs hall and into their bedroom where her darling husband remains fast asleep, unaware of the doom reaching toward them. "Billy, Billy, wake up!" Tessie shouts vigorously, shaking her beloved laying before her. Billy gasps as he jerks awake, concerned and disgruntled as he tries to calm down his wife. "Tessie, what is it? What is it? Also, why are you wearing a cloak? It's like the middle of the night." Bill Hutchinson groans, his voice an expression groggy from sleep. We need to run, Tessie screams desperately, her eyes erupting a tearful mess. Suddenly, the door bangs open and a sea of cloaked people surround the bed. One grabs Tessie's arms before she can scream. Tessie feels a sharp needle stab at her neck, and then all goes black. Tessie wakes up slowly, her surroundings slowly creeping into her senses as she comes back to consciousness. But the moment she remembers the situation, she starts to feverishly scream, only for them to be muffled by something gagging her. She can't tell exactly what, maybe an apple. She desperately tries to move and run away, only to feel her restraints made of rope trapping her in place, trapping her to her doom. I hate this, but your actions tonight, Miss Hutchinson, have defied our laws that you yourself know very well. Just know you very well, just how you very well know the punishments of. Shirley Jackson evenly states as she walks up to Tessie, slowly stroking the hair out of her face. And if anyone watching this didn't know what was about to happen, they would say even affectionately. The tears gush out of Tessie's eyes even harder. Her eyes frantically dance around the room as she sees the other women around her slowly pick up the stones. Miss Jackson slowly backs away as the other women slowly creep forward. Her eyes continue to desperately search for a way out, a way to freedom from her demise. The rocks start to fly towards her, and the pain's cries emerge from her throat. But the pain is too head splintering. She almost can't feel them anymore as the stone relentlessly barrels toward her. Finally, her eyes stop searching as they lock on her unconscious husband resting on the back wall, sleeping peacefully, because that's all she wants to see. Not what she thought were her people, not the knots trapping her, nothing. As she clinged on to that sight until Tessie couldn't see anything anymore, and she fell asleep amongst the gods.